I had always seen him from a distance, my stepfather, David. To me, he was a mere shadow in the backdrop of my childhood, a figure who rarely spoke and even more rarely engaged with me. My mother, Susan, had met David when I was 8, and from that day on, he had been a part of our lives, though not really a part of mine. I grew up with a sense of ambivalence towards him. He was my mother's husband, not quite a father figure, but not a stranger either. The memories of my early teenage years were peppered with his disinterest. I remember him sitting in the living room, eyes glued to the TV while I chatted about my day or showed him my latest art project. His responses were polite but distant, and over time, I learned not to expect much more. Years passed, and as I entered adulthood, our interactions remained polite but minimal. I went off to college, found my passion in graphic design, and fell in love with Jason, a kind and supportive man who shared my dreams. We got engaged, and the wedding planning began in earnest. I was excited about the day, but one aspect weighed heavily on my mind: David's role in it. One evening, while I was deep in wedding preparations, my mother called me with news that David wanted to discuss something important. Curious and a bit apprehensive, I agreed to meet with David at their house. When I arrived, David was waiting in the living room, visibly nervous. David expressed his wish to be a part of the wedding, specifically asking to walk me down the aisle. His words were sincere and carried an emotional weight that was hard to ignore. I was touched by his gesture but also conflicted, as the years of emotional distance had left a mark. I took some time to consider his request, weighing the significance of the moment against our past interactions. After discussing it with Jason and my mother, I realized that the wedding was not just a reflection of my past but also an opportunity to forge new memories. On the day of the wedding, I stood in my dress, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. As I walked down the aisle with David by my side, I experienced a strange blend of closure and new beginnings. His presence signified an effort to bridge the gap between us, and I felt a sense of reconciliation. The ceremony was beautiful, and as I looked around at the faces of loved ones, I saw hope and sincerity in David's eyes. It was clear that, while he may have missed my childhood, he was now trying to be part of my future. The reception was filled with joy, laughter, and celebration. Guests enjoyed the festivities, and David appeared more at ease, interacting with others and even sharing some light moments. During the evening, my mother approached me, expressing her pride in the successful day. I felt a sense of accomplishment and contentment as I prepared to enjoy the rest of the celebration with Jason by my side. Later, as I was dancing with Jason, I noticed David standing to the side, looking contemplative. I approached him and suggested we share a dance, which he agreed to. As we danced together in a quieter part of the room, David revealed that before he married my mother, he had been involved with someone named Emily. He explained that he had chosen to leave Emily behind to focus on his new life with my mother, believing it was the best course of action. As David spoke, I was taken aback by this revelation. Just as I was processing this information, a sudden commotion at the entrance of the venue drew everyone's attention. A figure from my past, someone I thought was long gone, walked in, causing a stir among the guests. The room fell silent as I stared in disbelief. David and Susan exchanged uneasy glances. The unexpected arrival of this person promised to unravel the very fabric of my understanding of family and truth. The guest, a man with a familiar face and an intense gaze, approached me, and the atmosphere grew tense. He revealed himself as my biological father, a revelation that shook the foundation of everything I thought I knew about my family. As the man spoke, my world seemed to spin. The wedding, initially a day of celebration, had transformed into a whirlwind of revelations and unexpected connections. The future felt uncertain, and the past seemed to be catching up with me in ways I couldn't have foreseen. The night continued, filled with a mix of conversations and the weight of unspoken truths. As I faced my biological father, David, and my mother, I realized that the journey ahead would be complex and challenging. The wedding had marked the beginning of a new chapter, but the real story was just unfolding. As the evening drew to a close, I stood at the edge of the dance floor, my heart heavy with unanswered questions. The future was shrouded in possibilities, and the next chapter of my life was about to begin, setting the stage for a journey into the unknown.